First Alert Center. We have an update right now live from Hoover PD on the officer involved shooting. They're walking towards the mic right now. You can take a look at them right now coming into an update to the media on exactly what has transpired in the last hour or so. This is in connection to a Hoover police officer shot while in the line of duty earlier today. All of this stemming from the police officers approaching a man suspected of shooting at someone on 459 northbound earlier this morning. And an officer was shot multiple times. At the last update we received, that officer had non-life-threatening injuries. And right now we are waiting on Hoover PD to give us an update. That update expected at 5 o'clock. It's a little bit after that now, but as you can see officers there.
Same as before, Lieutenant Daniel Lowe.
Looks like they're speaking.
Daniel, common spelling, last name Lowe, L-O-W-E, Public Information Officer, Hoover Police Department.
Good evening. On October 16th at approximately 11:25 a.m., the Hoover Police Department responded to a shooting call on I-459 North, where a motorist reported multiple shots being fired at his vehicle. No one was injured in that initial shooting. Officers were provided with the suspect vehicle description and were able to locate a possible suspect in the Hills at Hoover apartment complex. As officers attempted to initiate contact with the suspect, he produced a weapon and fired multiple rounds at officers. One Hoover police officer was struck multiple times in both arms. He was transported to UAB Hospital, where he was treated and released. Officers returned fire at the suspect at that time. The suspect entered an apartment in the 3600 building of the Hills at Hoover apartment complex. After several hours of negotiations, the suspect voluntarily exited the apartment and was taken into custody without incident. He sustained non-life-threatening gunshot wounds to one arm during the initial shootout with police and is being treated at a local hospital. Because officers discharged their weapons, the Alabama Law Enforcement Agency has been contacted to conduct the investigation into this incident. Because the investigation has been turned over to ALEA, any further information will be released by their agency. The Hoover Police Department would like to thank each agency who responded to assist during this very difficult event, and we would also like to thank the residents of the apartment complex for their understanding and their cooperation during what was certainly an apprehensive situation near their homes. Thank you.
All right. Same as before, guys. We'll be sending this to you. Did everybody get the first one? Okay. All right. Same thing. We'll be doing that as soon as we get back inside, okay?
Are you expecting any more readings tonight?
Tonight? No.
Appreciate it.
Yep. Thank y'all for helping us get the word out.
As you just heard from Hoover PD, that officer in this shooting was struck in the arm. Those injuries have been treated. The officer has been released from the hospital. Now, we have some video from that apartment complex of officers apprehending, taking someone into custody. We're working right now to get this confirmed if this is the suspect, but we do not know right now if this is the suspect. But we'll show you this video right now from a neighbor at the Hills Apartments of Hoover PD approaching a person inside of a unit and handcuffing that person. Watch this. We'll play it for you right now. Here's that video. And this is from a neighbor. You can see the person exit the apartment with their arms, their hands in the air. And take a look there, officers handcuffing that person, guns drawn. Several officers move in. Hoover PD tells us the tactical unit was involved in this. Several hours of negotiations. Speaking to a suspect in an apartment, we have not confirmed if this is the suspect being apprehended, but a neighbor provided this video to our reporter, Tristan Rupert, who is there on the scene. We have multiple crews working this shooting right now. Again, Hoover Police telling us that there is no threat to the community at this time. The suspect was taken into custody around 3:41 this afternoon. and they do not believe there is any additional threat to the community. At one point, that apartment complex was under lockdown. Several units in that area had to be evacuated. Others were asked to shelter in place. I know you all probably would like to see that video again. An ad is playing, it's buffering, so we'll wait for that to come back and I'll show it to you here again. This video given to WBRC by a neighbor at that complex. Take a look at it here. And all of this started this morning around 11:25. A person called Hoover PD off of 459 saying someone shot at their vehicle. Police say they were told the suspect was at this apartment complex, the Hills at Hoover, in a unit. They went there to apprehend this person, to initiate contact with this person, and police say the suspect began firing at officers. An officer was struck twice. That officer was taken to the hospital and has been released. Thankfully, those injuries non-life-threatening. Aaliyah is taking over this investigation due to this being an officer-involved shooting. And Hoover PD telling us additional information will come from them. But the video for you all who are just joining us, this is video given to WBRC by a neighbor at the Hills apartment complex in Hoover as officers were approaching someone, taking a person into custody at that scene. And in a second here, you'll see that person exit the unit with their hands in the air. You can see the officers with their guns drawn, and you can see this person come out in the black shirt. We're working right now to confirm if this is indeed the suspect in this shooting. And you can see that person taken into custody. Police tell us when they arrived on the scene to try to talk to this person, the person began shooting. The suspect began firing at officers. Officers shot back. The suspect was hit. Officers say that injury is being treated at this time. Thankfully, the officer who was struck multiple times has been treated and released. Aaliyah is over this investigation. Of course, we're continuing to gather more information. We have multiple crews on this shooting all over Hoover working to get more information for the public on exactly how this all transpired, what guns were used, who this suspect is. Police have not identified the suspect just yet, nor have they identified the officer in this. Of course, we will continue to keep you updated. If you would like to look at more of these videos as well as more details on exactly what we know, head over to the WBRC News app right now. Head over to WBRC.com. All of this information is there for you. You can also check out our Twitter pages as well as social media. We'll continue to update you here as we learn more.